Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And we have a new Hinata. And goddamn, she looks pretty good. But is she actually good? Well, it kind of depends on what team you're running, quite honestly. If we were to talk about the current summer meta, I would claim that she's helpful, but also not reaching that team's full potential. Because if we wanted to do that, we would run two units that are not from that meta. So, that's not really ideal. But can she hold her own as a single target Dark DPS unit? We're going to find out today. So, quick overview, she is Dark, physical, uses a great sword. Her ult is a single target physical for 90%, no additional effect. And then her first skill gives Summer Memories and Shizu's Will allies guaranteed crits for 2 turns, and then gives herself a 40% Charm Strike. So, in order for that to be most effective, you do need to bring someone who can charm. So, the next is transfers another random character's orbs times 3 to herself. So she has the same exact orb steal as EX Light Shuna. We know that's a good skill. We've been using it ever since she came out to almost completely eliminate RNG for some hands. And then she increases protection gauges by 9%. If it was 10, it'd be 10%, but I'm not going to level it up. Her Valor trait is terrible. Her normal trait is she gets extra ult gauge for the first 3 turns of battle if she's up front, but I don't have a dupe, so I don't have that. And then she gets extra crit damage with Rimuru in a battle slot. So, the problem I have with this Hinata is her support card. Summer Memories and Shizu's Will. Guaranteed crits. It is for 2 turns, which is nice. That's a pretty limited range of units. Shizu's Will is Hinata's, Rimuru's, Yuki's, and then the kiddos. And then Summer Memories is the current meta, plus free-to-play Water Rimuru, Water Shuna, and Water Shion. Water Shion, who is already giving crits to people anyways, so kind of a double up there, but it's unrestricted, mostly. So she's restricted unnecessarily to teams that are not really that big and useful. But if we just imagine her as a DPS unit for her own sake, then it can be okay because she has guaranteed crits for 2 turns. And she's got Charm Strike. So we're going to test her out on the current meta, we're going to make it work, and then once we realize that she doesn't really help them do as much damage as I want her to, we're going to take her off and we're going to make her a single target DPS somewhere else. So, let's get started. Before we start the showcase, I just want to point out that we are sponsored by Dubby now, so I get to do the shameless plug for my sponsorship. So, Dubby.gg, link in the video description. You can use my code IceColdJoker for 10% off your order. And if you do order, please let me know, because if you like it, then great. And if you don't, well, then I want to know what flavor you bought so I don't buy that one. But we can start doing this now, and if you want to support the channel, then that's an easy way to do it while getting your fix of caffeine, and everybody loves caffeine. So, yeah. Ice Cold Joker's the code, link in the description, w.gg. Get a waifu cup as well while you're at it, because everybody loves waifus too. But let's get back to the Hinata showcase. Alright, this is the team we're going to use. We don't have Ramirez, we don't have Guy on the team because the crits are going to be handled by Hinata, and the ult damage is going to be handled by Lumi. We are going to keep Violet, though, because if we can crit, we can get the crit damage, and we can get the ult resistance down, so we will try and optimize Milim for as much damage as possible using this team. And, yeah, turn 2, if we get lucky, we're going to leave Hinata where she is, and she can steal 3, and things should work out, but, let's see what happens. Okay, so we put Hinata in that slot because we are going to have a green, then we have to have another blue that comes in, guaranteed, for her on turn 2. So we can only send the 4 blues because we don't have an orb changer, so we just have to do this. We're going to swap Violet out for Shizu, and this will hopefully give us that RNG we need to get 1 more Hinata orb next turn, and we can have the 3, that way we can steal into a full hand, and then swap it all for Violet, and things, should, quote-unquote, work out, but, we'll see how RNG likes us. If not, then I'll just this is the first turn. You send 4 blues, and we'll come back when I actually get a good turn 2. We'll find out if this isn't the run. Okay, well, that previous run was not it. But this one is. So we do have the 3 Hinata orbs, which means we can steal into a full hand of her, and then we're going to bring in Violet for Hinata, and then once we use Trainee, we'll have enough points to use her orb convert for all of her orbs, which is everything, and then it'll all be blue, and we'll be all nice and hunky-dory right here. For Milim to come in. There we go. So that is a good turn 2 right there. That is what I want to see. Milim does 12.5k right here per hit, roughly. So now the fun begins, because now we have Trainee gonna always be active. We're gonna always have full hands of blues. We're gonna have full hands of Milims. We've got Shizu to swap the ult for Milim when we do get it this next incoming turn. So let's go ahead and yoink all of those. We'll add the Charm on as well, just for some extra blue damage. And the extra ult gauge, which we're not really going to need because we're going to have the next turn full of Milim as well. But hey, it is what it is. We'll use Trainee again, give us those extra points, make next turn as active. And every time we're using Trainee, remember, we are stacking up 10% ult damage on Valentine's skill. So we do want that maxed out at 100% by the time we get to the nuke turn. 1, 2, 3, 21k now. Looking good. And then the final hit does 44. Okay. Alright, good. So now we can use Shizu to swap that Milim orb. We're going to get a little bit of that from the Charm, but it's not going to be enough to get the full EX ult. And there's that, and boom. We're almost there. So we actually don't need to steal any orbs with Milim. So we can, save our points for that. What we can do, though, is we can use the attack, dark attack, and then the weakness buff here. So now we have full hand. We have 3 Milim orbs. Definitely going to get her EX ult. And then we're going to bring in Hinata for Valentine, especially since they seem to hate Valentine. So now, because Hinata's crit buff lasts 2 turns, we can use it now, and it will still be active next turn. So that is one upside to this. So there we go. Milim now has the attack, dark attack, weakness, and guaranteed crits. We've already used Trainee once, and we are sitting at 3 times used. It means we need 2 more, which we're definitely going to get, because we have 1 here. We're going to get another one as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 53 points. Double Trainee gauge right here. 80 points. So we can use Violet first, and then use the 2 stacks of Trainee that we need to max out Valentine. And then we will be at full power right here, as far as this team is concerned. Now, remember that using the Fount of Wisdom Rimuru, Guy, and Violet team with Milim and Shizu on Inferno 3 gave us 1.2 million damage, right? So we gotta keep that in mind, is that, are we going to do 1.3 million damage here? Can we outclass the turn? And my answer is no. No, we cannot. So, we've got the ult resistance down and the crit damage up on Violet. Now let's go ahead, or not Violet, from Violet. We'll bring Lumi in, and we'll do the 2 last final stacks of Trainee, which will guarantee that we can use Lumi because she only costs 55, which is nice in this team setting. And now she is capped out. So, 100% ult damage, and then 10% fire and dark resistance down. There we go. So now let's take a look at what Milim has. She has got attack, dark attack, weakness strike, guaranteed crit, 40% crit damage. The ult is 100% buffed, and then the enemies over here have the ult resistance down, defense down, and then the fire dark resistance. So, let's send the normal orbs first and see how much damage we do between everything. It should be a lot. Granted, these blues are also not buffed by that 70%, which we may have been able to do if we played it right. I don't really know, but So let's see. So 9,000, 21,000. Was that 90? Was that 9,000? Did we pierce there? We pierced there as well. Alright, that's unfortunate. We do 836,000 damage with that full team setup minus Rammers, but if we had Rammers, we wouldn't do half of that damage, because we'd be missing the alt resistance and the crit damage, and we would have done like 400k-ish, somewhere around there. So that is the cap, using the full meta team, plus a really good support unit. Well, if you didn't want to summon for Hinata and Lumi, you could just bring Guy and you could bring Fata Wisdom Rimuru. Older units, you may or may not have them, but if you do, you could then add another 400,000 damage to your run. Each hit. 1.2 million per unit on that side of the field. So, is Hinata absolutely necessary for this team? Not if you have other units that can do essentially what she does. It's cool that her crit lasts for 2 turns. It does allow us to not have to swap Milim out, but we could have swapped Milim out and things would have been fine. Technically. So, is Hinata good on this team? Yes. Are there better units? Yes. So, with that out of the way, let's now turn the tables and make Hinata the DPS for a single target stage. And let's see how hard she can hit by herself with other support units for her. Alright, we're going to give her the same treatment that we gave Milim. So we're going to go with full buffs, except we're going to bring EX Rimuru to help give her the physical buff. And we'll see how much damage an EX single target alt from Hinata can do in an AoE stage in 5 turns. Because realistically, that's what we're shooting for, right? So same team setup, Violet, Lumi, Shizu, Hinata, just no Milim, Rimuru instead. Let's try it out. Okay, well, obviously we're not in beatdown battle now. It kinda is almost impossible to run this specific team while getting all 3 of the big buffs. So we came here where we have 7 turns to do it. Cabby only has, 7,000, so he's got almost half the defense that the enemies in Inferno 1 do, but this is the only way. And there's no other stage that focuses on blues that wants a dark physical DPS, so options are limited. But we get a good starting hand right here, so we can immediately steal all those violet orbs into, or we can bring you in to steal all those violet orbs and everyone else. So this will get us off the ground running, get us a good start on the ult. We do need to make sure that Cabby is charmed on the nuke turn, because we would then not have the 40%. Alright, what is that doing? Is that sealing our defense right here? Defense and crit resistance up. Alright, that's fine. So, let's go ahead and swap that orb, which will then give us 3 Hinata orbs. No. We'll use Trainee, and then we'll have another full hand of Trainee. Or not Trainee, but Hinata, and that will get us her EX ult. So that's looking pretty good. We can go ahead and use her Charm Strike here, now, and guaranteed crits, because it'll last for 2 turns, which means it'll be active this turn and next turn when we send her away. And then we can just focus on getting the weakness buff, which we can use next turn, and then, yeah, everything else. So, we have a few more turns. 40k on the 200% orb. We do have the EX ult now. Awesome. Go ahead and use the weakness damage here, and then we can send her away, and things will look hunky-dory. So, let's bring you in, and then we can use Trainee again, give us 40 points, then use Violet to convert that last Lumi orb into a full hand of blues, and we'll still be off running. Perfect. And how many times have we used Trainee now? 3 or 4? Twice. Okay, well, whatever. Alright, now we have double, we have 68 points. We're going to have to bring her back in and use the Rimuru buff just to hold that, because there's no way we could use 2 80-point skills and the 55-point ult buff in 1 turn. Like, we physically don't have enough points, so this is the best we can do. Bring Hinata in for Violet, I guess. And then we can use Trainee, give us 40 points. Awesome. Keep the defense down, and then use the physical buff. So we're not going to have the physical resistance down on the nuke turn, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then we'll do this, and we have yet still a full hand of blues. Perfect. And technically this would be the end of turn 5, right? Well, no. It'd be almost there. 42k. Alright. So, we need to use 2 more times, which we will get next turn. So, we'll do 1 trainee here, we'll send the blue, and then we'll have maximum points plus maximum protection gauge, and then we'll be ready to nuke. As long as nobody gets sealed, which I don't know if that happens or not. Okay, well, I mean, if we could do this every time on turn 1 and just steal into 6 Hinata, that'd work out real well. That actually kind of hurt. Ah. That's unfortunate. Okay, well, I guess we'll just do this and we'll wait for the stun to wear off of Valentine? Hopefully he doesn't stun anyone else? Or maybe he just stuns... Okay, perfect. There we go. Alright, so Hinata can come in for Rimuru, who has orbs, good. And then Shizu can go away for Violet, because we've already used her buff. And now here we go. So we have this right here. We still have the crit left over. We'll use double trainee, which will cap out Valentine's 100% ult damage. And then we can get kind of an idea of what we could do. I would just, for this turn, I would lower the amount of damage we do by a little bit, because he has lower defense than what Inferno has. But this should be all capped out, and we can use the Charm, therefore getting the extra 40% damage. So let's make sure we do have everything on Hinata. So we have crit rate, Charm Strike, Weakness Strike, Physical Attack, crit damage. Awesome. And then her ult is an EX ult with 100% buff, and Cabby is ult damage down, defense down, fire and dark resistance down. So this is max power Hinata on this turn. So let's see how much our normals do, and then our ult. So 57, 120k, 131k is a lot of damage. And 1.6 million. I'm sorry we didn't get to watch that. We'll watch it on the next one, and we failed the quest. Oh well. 1.6 million is not terrible damage, obviously, for a single target EX unit. So she can hold her own if you have another unit who can give the charm effect to her. That's going to be the main thing, is that in order for her to be max power, you do require someone to have charm. So it may hold her back on some teams. There are at least 2 free-to-play units now that give charm in both the Romerus and the free-to-play Space Sufia. So you have options. But now let's take her away from the meta team, and let's make her a single-target Dark DPS on a Dark team. Alright, for the last part of this showcase, we're going to take her into this Space Milim stage, because it's type neutral, but it's blue focused, and I'm not, heavily nerfed here. It is kind of weird, because she does have, like, a lot of physical and magic resistance on weird numbered turns, so I'm going to have to nuke on turn 11 to ensure I have enough points to do everything, but Hinata does fit underneath the Shizu's Will part of the Rimuru, Megmin, Konosuba collab unit. So she does get the additional stats. So Shizu's Will, right here. So, I mean, that's cool. She's not going to get the extra 6% damage buff, but we do get a little bit of stat bump. And this team is very much blue focused, and literally everyone here is a support unit, with, 3 of them being orb changers, and Hinata can steal, so it is a fairly self-sufficient team. So we're going to give Hinata the attack buff, the defense down, the physical buff, her own crit buff. No one here is charming, so we are going to miss that 40% right there, but small price to pay for the amount of buffs that we're getting in return. We've got the 80% ult buff, and then the Pierce and Pierce power, along with Aqua being able to force the Hinata ult. So this team, in theory, should work fairly well, but it's also not a set starting hand, so we're going to come back once I have a good turn, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we got a fairly lucky turn 1 starting hand. We're going to bump the speed up a little bit. So we got 5 blues, 1 orange, so we can definitely do this, and then we can get ourselves set up for a good turn 2. So, the idea with this team is the same with any other blue stacking team, which we can put Hinata on and she'll work fairly well. It's just that, again, we don't have anyone to give her the charm, because instead of running Valentine, we're running Megumin, who in this instance is a much better, unit as far as cohesiveness is concerned, because she does have the orb change, and she does buff the ults by 80%. So we're only losing a tiny amount of damage. And even then, Lumi could charm for us. Whether or not that's really plausible in most scenarios is debatable, because again, trying to bring Lumi on a team is just kind of wonky. This turn, we kind of get a little unlucky, because it's a bunch of oranges, but that'll just help us get her ult faster. We can steal some orbs if we wanted to. We still have Aqua, who can, buff our ult gauge up by 40% every time while lowering her pierce resistance. It's just that Milim has some weird, random, all, magic and physical resistance buffs for, 4 turns, but it's, turn 7, not turn 8, and then it's turn 11 when you can nuke again. It's just really random. So we're going to steal with the orbs here. We have an ult. We have no way to hide the ult, though. So we're going to just use Aqua to keep forcing her ult. That way we can get it as quick as possible and then send Hinata away, because her being up front is just detrimental to our full hand sends of blues. So we have enough points now. She is just right there, so we can use 1 more stack of Rimuru, force the ult, and then Hinata can go bye-bye. And then, yeah, we'll be all set. So we'll do this, we'll swap her out. We have Megumin's ult, but we can orb change here, and we can go ahead and send it. I do the orbs out of order, but I really don't care, because Megumin is not the point of this showcase. So we just want to get to turn goddamn 11 as quick as possible, and get as many points and as many stacks of Rimuru along the way as we can, so we can see how much damage Hinata can do in a type-neutral setting with a literal butt-ton of buffs going on. Now, people would say, Joker, you could have brought Lumi, because we have an orange orb changer and we have a green orb changer, and you're definitely right, we could. But I like Megumin more than Valentine, even though Megumin would also get the buff, but again, she would be swapped out because she's a fire unit, but we're replacing the ult buffer for an ult buffer. So realistically, no one else on this team would get the effects of the ult except for Hinata, which seems kind of unuseful in a lot of circumstances when you're wanting to nuke multiple times, but I get it. You're only here to support the primary nuker, so we would have gained a bit extra damage with the 20% additional ult, the resistance down for Dark, and then the Charm Strike would have added a decent amount because it's a 40% personal buff. So it would have added a bit, more than a bit, but whatever. We're on turn 8, and she still has the physical and magic buff, so we have to go another, 3 turns before we can attempt to nuke in a reasonable setting. So now we're just holding. I don't want to kill her, so I want to keep sending orbs, but we do have enough points now to use all of the primary buffs, which is the most important thing. So, and we want to keep her away from that attack nerf as well. So we got 1 more turn we got to deal with, and then we are good to go. Let's go ahead and just send these 2, and then now we can safely nuke after she nukes us, and Megumin's almost dead. But that's fine. We are ready now. So let's use the ult buff for Megumin, because it hits her in the back, and then we can go bring in Hinata for Megumin, and then we can use everything out. So the attack, the defense down, the pierce buff, her own personal crit buff. We can lower the pierce resistance on Milim even further right here. We could have stolen 3 orbs with Hinata. We would have given us a full send, but the normal orbs would have killed her, so we don't want to do that. We've got the physical buff. We have 1 more stack of Rimuru, which puts us at 180 plus another 80%. So 260% ult damage, plus all of the different buffs going on. We have the Charm Strike, but we have no way to activate it. And then we have pierce resistance, defense down, and then the physical resistance down. And Hinata hits 848k. So it's like, yeah, it's not that high, but we don't have that extra 6% damage buff. We're not type advantage. It's type neutral. I'd call that pretty good. If we had brought Valentine, maybe we would have hit, maybe would have hit 1 million, maybe, but we didn't need to, right? She was super duper dead. It's just that there's not a lot of places I can use Hinata to show her off, because all the stages that want dark units are green focused, or they're too damn weak, and all the stages that are blue focused are not. They want magic characters or something, or they're burst teams or something. So it's kind of hard to showcase Valentine right now. Or not Valentine, Hinata. But, I mean, she can work as a single target DPS, just like Albus can work as a single target DPS, who has an EX ult. They do different things. One is pierce, one is crit based. So, is she good? She's okay, right? I still don't think people should summon on her. I still think that she's pretty, not up to snuff as far as most units are concerned nowadays. I really wish she had done something else on her secondary skill, or not been restricted to just Summer Memories and Shizu's Will, but it is what it is. Hinata can work fine in a pinch as a single-target DPS, but we have a lot of single-target dark DPS units now. It's just that she happens to be physical, just like Albus, though. So, overall, I'd give her like a 7 out of 10, I guess. She is fairly useful with that triple orb steal, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. That's it for me. Take it easy, guys, and I'll see you all later.